the thing is that you would be taking yourself out of mindfulness if you showed up in the way that you thought other people thought you should be.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, how do I say this? Show up. Just show up.
Just show up. And I like what you said, to your capacity, capacity in that moment. Because you see that, and that's a beautiful way to open this conversation, because to me, the definition of mindfulness is the conscious decision to show up to whatever is present without trying to change it. And so that's exactly what you're doing. You are showing up and you've got a burnt mouth because you drank some coffee that's too hot, and you've got a scratched neck, which is hot. So got a lot of heat going on.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest, and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, dear Deb. Welcome, listeners.
Hello.
Listen to you. Hello. Welcome, dear friends. Here we are with another one of our deliciously motivated mindset podcast conversations with Debz and Moira. Debz, that would be her over there.
That's me.
And
Yeehaw.
Moira over here. We've got really good.
You.
That would be me. We've got a really great topic, and we've said this before. We wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't a great topic, but I'm intrigued about this one because it'll be interesting to see. Listeners, if you haven't listened to us before, welcome. And if you have listened to us before, welcome.
Welcome back.
When we get into doing these podcast conversations, we actually have not prepared anything other than having a wee chit chat before we hit record. And we have a list of titles which we co-created, and we add to them. We get into little creative spurts of adding to them, and then we just take a title and riff off on whatever comes up. So this is going to be a good one, as always. But so we're going to be talking about being mindful and its meaning, something very close to my heart. But before we get stuck into our conversation, I think
it's the quietest I've ever been.
It is, actually. It is. It's the quietest. Well,
was I being mindful then? Uh-oh.
Debz is being mindful of being quiet. Yeah. Let's see what that means. Wonder what that means. But what I was going to say is that before we get into our conversation, we like we assess ourselves, and we encourage you, listeners, to do so also. And what we're talking about, I reference this as our TEMS check-in, PEMS. And what I'm referring to is your physical well-being, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And we rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. So 0 is when we're feeling completely mindful, blissed out, calm, zen, present. And then 10 is when we're chaotic and discombobulated and oh my God, and don't know whether up is up and down is down or in between. And the truth is we all move on these numbers. It's just a tool to assess where are you. And sometimes just assessing, even if you're like a 7 or an 8, just having the awareness actually really helps you come more present and be more inspired to work through whatever it is you've got in front of you. So all that being said, my dear, where are you?
I'm a 4. I would have
Okay.
said a 2, but I've just taken a big mouthful of coffee that's burnt the roof of my mouth,
I
my
saw that.
lips,
Yep.
down my throat, and I wanted to
OMG.
swear. I wanted to swear. I have, my tongue is burning. Literally. So, and you know what? I was like, you have to be mindful instead of going
Cursing and swearing.
insane colourful words as my mouth is burning, my throat, my tongue, everything. I'm saying a 4 because I'm clearly distracted.
Discombobulated. See, there is the
Yeah.
discombobulation. And actually, I am a 2.
Yeah.
So interesting that you said that you were going to say a 2 until that incident happened. But you see, listeners, this is how quickly it can shift. We can sit there and go, okay, I'm here, but then something happens. A thought lands, or some situation shifts
Or a
or
coffee.
changes, or a coffee. Coffee lands in your mouth. And so what we want you to do, just make a wee note of that number, and then we encourage you to check in at our halfway point, and then we're all going to check in again at the end of our conversation. And of course, the intent of our conversations is to bring you from wherever you are closer to that 0, and just be with that. So that's why being mindful and its meaning is the perfect topic for us to get into. So we encourage you to grab your note-taking device, your pen, pencil, whatever it is, because we're going to get stuck into this one. Kick off. Go for this one.
Yeah, I think today's going to be a goodie, although my mouth is burning. My mouth is having a dance party, and it's not in a nice kind of way. I've also got a cold flannel around my neck as I talk because I've scratched my neck and now it's red and hot.
Red, raw, sore.
I'm having a great old time. So I would say, I actually want to say, one I'm going to say is be mindful of its meaning, is show up. And show up in what you can. Now, I'm not saying show up when your arm's falling off and you've got to go play baseball or whatever. Like, I'm not talking about broken bones show up. I'm just saying show up in the capacity you can. Because right now, my neck is burning, my throat is burning. So I just want to say, you don't have to hide away for everything, but just show up to your capacity, not what others, maybe others expect you to show up in a certain way. I don't know how to say this really.
No, I get what you're saying, because the thing is that you would be taking yourself out of mindfulness if you showed up in the way that you thought other people thought you should be.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, how do I say this? Show up. Just show up.
Just show up. And I like what you said, to your capacity. To your capacity in that moment. Because you see that, and that's a beautiful way to open this conversation, because to me, the definition of mindfulness is the conscious decision to show up to whatever is present without trying to change it. And so that's exactly what you're doing. You are showing up, and you've got a burnt mouth because you drank some coffee that's too hot, and you've got a scratched neck, which is hot. So got a lot of heat going on. But you're showing up and just saying, this is what it is, right? It's not saying, oh, I can't tell people the truth, or I can't speak even because of whatever it is that's going on, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I guess actually that's probably another great one, is about being mindful, which yes, it does, is being transparent but not fully opening your, I was going to say something else, be transparent to people and tell people what's going on, everything, but you don't have to tell them everything.
Yeah, you don't have to tell all the details, absolutely. But to own it.
So that's being mindful, I guess. Because people are not stupid. Well, there are a few stupid people out there. to get clear to that. People are not stupid. To take that back, you know, and if you know, they know, and you know, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, nothing's bothering me. And it's like,
Yeah,
no, it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
then you're dismissing their intuition. You're
Yep.
also lying to yourself. So yeah, I'm not great right now. I'm going through a few things. And I'm confident I'm going to get to the other side, or I'm confident. And then they go, can I help you? No, but you don't have, so be transparent, but don't expose your privates. I don't know how to say it really.
No, I like that, because the thing is you're being transparent and you're being authentic and telling the truth about what's going on, but that's it. And so if somebody says, can I help you? And it's okay. So to me, it's like you're being transparent with showing up with what's going on.
Without the
Remember,
details.
without the details, but also from a mindset of, I've got this. No matter what's going
yeah,
on,
certain in the
I've
belief
got this,
that you can
right?
do
So
it.
that,
Yeah.
there's a belief in your mind of, I've got this. You're not coming from a victim mode of like, oh my God, this is what's going on. And of course, then people are going to feel like, oh my God, I have to help you. And how about this? And how about this? I don't really tolerate that anyways. It's like, no, I'm dealing with this. I've got it. Right.
Well, you do, yeah, and I think, in fact, I think we might have talked about that last week. Or, you know, literally about helping and holding energy space for people. Because sometimes you say something and people go, "Oh my God, I've got to help her," and they're like, "How do I help her?" And you're like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Like, just hold energy. Tell them you'll send them love, and send them love. Don't,
Yeah.
But I do think being mindful, it's meaning, you know, yeah, people are not stupid. They know when you're going through stuff. When they go, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, just say, no, not 100%, but I will, but I'm getting through it, or I've got, or I, you know, or I know where I'm going, even if you don't, you know.
But, you know, I think that that's another component of being mindful. So when I'm saying about being mindful, means that we all go through discombobulation and things going chaotic and things going wonky. We all do. But it's not like you're not going to implode. You're just saying, yep, I'm good.
And I think when you say to others, yeah, I'm getting through this. Yeah, I've got this. You know, you're also, even if you don't feel it and you don't want to involve them, you know, say you've got it. That's it. And yes, it could be a lie. But when you actually tell yourself, I've got this, and you hear it in your head, you're like, okay, well, I guess I've got it.
Yeah.
Instead of, did I really lie to them and say, I've got this and I have no idea what I'm doing? Oh, okay. But you're also telling yourself internally, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just in that example, it increases your resilience, right? Because maybe even in that internal dialogue, you kind of go, oh, what? I'm saying I've got this, but really, do I? How do I do that? But it's like communicating to, I don't know how, but I've got this. I can deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? It makes you much more open, because that is the thing about being mindful, allows you to just be okay with what's happening right in that moment without trying to change it. You're just saying it's in flow. I'm going to shift through it when it's the right time.
Well, I think that's the other thing, is your expectations. I feel like Moira's interviewing me here, actually, when I think we'll just keep throwing these out there. Is your expectations, because it's your expectations that can throw you off course, you know. And this, I was actually, in fact, talking about our expectations yesterday to people, and this is the stuff that leads to depression, because you expect people to say and do things, or you expect people to do what you would do morally right, and not everyone does. They do what's best for them, you know. And that's so look at your if you're feeling yourself out of one kilter, you know, look at your expectations. Are they realistic to universal laws? Are they realistic to time frames? You know, go to 2020, the year of my favorite pivot.
Year of pivot.
Nobody knew that was coming. Well, apparently nobody knew. You know, not going down that path, but that was totally the year of pivot, because our expectations, I thought I would continue traveling to internationally once a month. That stopped. Funnily enough, actually, I'm on my very first international trip since then, right here, right now, as I'm podcasting from another country. Yeah. Yeah, actually funny. But that's really important, to look at your expectations and others, because if you're going for gold and they want silver, you know, you got to come in between, because otherwise.
Well, and that's a really good part here, because my tip after that, like to lead on from, I like the thing about expectations, that it's really important to check in with that. But my tip right after that would be that it's super important to do an internal check-in before anything else. Because with being mindful, it's an internal work must get done first.
It's all your inside jobs, isn't it?
It is. It's all the inside jobs. Because in your example there about you're saying where you want to go for gold and the other wants to go for silver, being mindful means you go for gold and they go for silver. Right? Because it's not about, oh, I have to go and go, I have to follow them and go for silver, or I have to change their mind and make them go for gold. No, it's about being mindful and saying, hey, we're all walking to the beat of our own drum, but we're accessing our inner wisdom and not judging and expecting everybody else to walk and do and speak in the exact same way, because we don't.
So in all conversations, you want a win-win, not a win-lose. And and I guess that could be that's being mindful, is actually having a win-win, but without stripping your dignity, your morals and ethics, you know, without taking away your moral compass by doing things to give them a win and you a lose, or you a win. You know, you've got to keep yourself above the line in those things.
But
don't go against universal laws.
But you would if you fully immersed yourself in that internal check-in.
100%. 100%.
And so that's why I'm saying it. And that's with complete authenticity and honesty, and just really like, does this make me feel good about me? I've said this question, actually, this would be a really good time to bring that in, is that question. I know I've talked about it on conversations.
Well, we're going to put that as this complete bullet point on its own.
Yes.
Because that's so important, and we haven't talked about it for a while.
No, we haven't. I guess we haven't. But it is that to me is such a pivotal question. How does this make me feel about me? Does it make, and so what we're looking for is, it might make me feel a wee bit discombobulated, because, oh my gosh, this is exciting, and I don't know the answers. I don't know the way through, but I feel up. I feel that sense of yes within me. Whereas you want to be checking this, because if you're aware of what your sense of no, or your sense of feeling like you're going down a spiral, down the drain hole somewhere, then that's a no for you, right? But you can only access those. How does this make me feel about me? Follow the ones that make you feel confident, empowered, in alignment, on track, balanced, harmonious, peaceful, right? All of those are brilliant guidance points, and actually allows you to be mindful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I just actually wrote down for my next tip, I think, is the hold energy. You don't have to save everyone. And I go into that monkey quote, not my monkey, not my circus.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, is the hold energy. And you don't have to be a savior when things happen. And I don't know if I ever talked about my car smash on the podcast. I know I talked to Moira about it, but I got I always giggle when I hear that word. It's like the childish in me. I got rear-ended in my car. We'll just add that last bit, in my car. And the other two cars are written off, and my car wasn't. And while I sat in that car, I could see in the rear vision mirror, people jumped out. They got cameras, they were filming, and we were on a motorway. We shut down 3 of the 4 lanes on the motorway. And everyone was running around screaming and shouting at each other. Now, I didn't see in the rear vision mirror there was any punchy, but I could see people chaotic. I could definitely see chaotic. And I chose to stay in that car and I physically felt fine.
Right.
And I just mentally checked in and went, you know what? I don't need to. Now, my business is a global stressologist, so I help people deal with stress. I calm every situation down in my mind. And in fact, I'm known as the Cooper Pooper Scooper because my surname's Cooper, because literally Cooper Pooper Scooper will come in and she'll fix it and she'll resolve it. And that's great. And I laugh at that. But at that time, I then just went, you know what? I'm just going to hold energy and space for everyone while I'm in this car. And I just went, I don't want to get out of the car. I don't want to jump into their crazy, crazy bubble. I could see what was going on. They were tens. They were shouting at each other. They were filming each other. And I just chose not to. So when I say hold energy, there was enough people doing stuff. I rang the emergency departments. I spoke to them. You know, the guy came to my window. He apologized. I said, thank you very much. I had it on the recording from the emergency department. I wound my window back up and I stayed in that. I held my own energy inside that car while I also had love and energy for those outside and just went, yep, they're not for me right now. They're not for me right now. And then the emergency services came and took over. So I just really want to say, just look at your energy. Your energy is important. This is all about you. I mean, I was also aware I had a 2.5 hour drive. I didn't know how much damage was in the car. You know, there was a lot going on in my mind, and I went, I don't want to jump into somebody else's. So I just held love and energy and space for the young boy who hit me, for the 2 cars that I could see were clearly written off. I didn't know what damage I had in the back of my car. I didn't know if my car was going to drive. But I held that energy for me, and I held the energy for them at that time while I was in the car. So not my monkey, not my circus. I was definitely playing in that game, but I chose not to. I don't know really how else to say it. I think that sort of summed it up.
You summed it up beautifully, and it's such a beautiful example of doing that inner check-in first and not getting carried off into another drama, because that's the whole part, is that's what happens when there's chaos. People can tend to start running around like headless chickens. And you and I, we've talked about this before, you and I do very similar work. We have different methodologies, but we do similar work in that I calm people down. I help them find the best route through for them. I actually help them up level their own resilience. But one of the things that people have often found about me is that I'm the same way as you. How you just said that is, my inner check-in says everything's okay, everything's going to be okay, and I don't need to engage in the story. And that's kind of what you're saying. It's like you had a big enough view to say, yep, they're doing what they're doing, and I don't need to get involved with that because I'm okay. And sometimes that's actually the best gift you can give to anybody else, is that I can just keep sending out peaceful vibes, right?
Yeah, and by doing that, sending out those vibes, I felt was enough. By sitting in the car, sending it out. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's being very mindful of saying, there's, you getting out of the car and having a conversation wasn't going to really help anything anyway. Wasn't going to add to anything.
Well, what do you mean? I'm exceptional at what I do. Thank you. But I felt there was enough people. I felt there was enough people running around. And I also thought, if they're running around, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But if they're running around, then there's nobody dead. Because they're all running around the cars. So my thought was, well, there's clearly no one dead because you're all running around filming each other, yelling at each other. So I was like, okay, well, that's good. And then I went, nah, I don't know what I would have done if they were all racing to a car trying to get someone out. Then maybe I would have been doing it different. But at the time, I looked in my rear vision mirror very quickly at my assessment and went, they're all filming each other. Don't think anyone's dead. Okay, I'm good. Literally, as I was calling the emergency services, because she said, do you want to get out and have a look and see if there's any injuries? And I went, no. She sort of had a little like, oh, thinking probably everybody gets out of the car. She obviously doesn't know that I try and do things differently without even knowing I'm doing them differently. But I just think we can hold, and I do like the not my monkey, not my circus, because yes, I was involved in that circus, but I was I was okay just being a person sitting in the stand.
Yep.
Because
And
that can take you to a 10. We talk about our PIMS at the start. That could take
absolutely.
me to a 10 or a 12.
Yeah. I think the
Yeah.
key piece too, though, from how you've described that, is that you were right involved in that situation. And so you have to still be very aware of, okay, if I've been hit in my car, there could potentially be a whiplash injury or something that you still need to be really mindful of what you need, right? And like you said too, you don't know what's the damage to your car. You still have another 2.5 hour journey.
If I got out and saw that, I might have not been as mindful as I
Yes.
was sitting in the car, because it was a little bit naive. But when they did take me to the ambulance to get checked out, they actually, when I got out of the car, they actually got the other ambulance person to come over and walk. So they had someone either side of me, because they were very concerned about me,
Right.
the way I was walking, and I was very calm. They're like, this is not it, which could have meant I was in shock.
Good.
But I was like, no, I'm totally okay. I'm actually okay. And I didn't even ask about it. I didn't even ask about the others, because I was just like, I just focusing on me. And I guess that's the other thing, is I didn't ask, how's the others? Is anybody really injured?
Right.
I got into the ambulance and he had dislocated shoulder and cracked ribs. And that was only because I had to share an ambulance with a guy.
Right.
That I knew that, but it wasn't me to get involved in and take, like I referenced it at the weekend, actually. You have a smorgasbord of platter of food. And what we do is I'm going to take a bit of that food and a bit of that food and a bit of that food. Now, I personally don't know anyone who goes to a smorgasbord and undereats. I don't know. I definitely don't undereat. But when you have that platter of food on there, you just literally eat way more than you normally would. So when you get involved in those things, you get involved boots and all. Like you go, oh, what happened to the person, and how young are they, and how old are they, and what nationality are they, and they're going to be okay. And and you just get so involved into that little platter of food. So I was like, no.
So
Yeah.
I say some people would, because I wouldn't. Myself, I wouldn't be going to all that.
I would probably.
Detail. I wouldn't do that to them. Definitely want to know, how are they? Are they okay?
I would go to the human behavior curiosity part of it. That's me.
Right.
But
this is about being partly about being mindful too, is to know, how do you react?
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift.
No, because for me, I think about there's an example of a time where I was not in a car accident, but I witnessed one. And we were all fine. Actually, it was right in the middle of winter time too. So we were like a couple of feet of snow around.
Listen to me. Ooh.
And this guy had actually flipped his car and gone right off the road. Well, my reaction was to actually get out of the car and go and lift him out of his car.
Yeah.
Without any, I didn't even, I did do a quick check-in with me, but it was like, no, I can do this. And he's not. But there was no other chaos around it. It was very much, I have the capacity to do this. I can go and help. And then as soon as I got him out, the other drivers came by and other people came and took over, and the ambulances came, and then I just left. Like, I don't need to be there anymore, right? So it's like you get yourself checked out. You can do what you can do. Being mindful means, is there something to be gained by me staying and doing or saying or holding space? This is actually all related to that whole holding space. Can I be of service? Can I be of assistance? And if it's no, then I can remove. I can keep going, right? Which is what I did, but after I helped him out with his car.
Well, I think that's a great one, because I just thought the actual the next tip is, it's not permanent.
Yeah.
because I go to another scenario where literally a young boy was being beaten up in an airport, and I threw my very expensive handbag at a complete stranger and said, "Hold this," as I jumped in. And this is probably 4 or 5 months earlier. I literally jumped in to protect this boy. And just as I went to get in to get this boy, I just got something on the back of my neck and I got thrown out of the way. And it was some guy 10 times the size of me. Now I'm pretty big. But anyway, some guy actually just picked me up and threw me out of the way, and then literally went in. And then I found out he was a prison officer, and he knew exactly what he was doing, instead of this little freaking flimsy girl who just would have gone and taken a few punches for this kid and didn't even know what he did. But so it's not permanent. Your stories can change. So at that time in the car, I sat back and protected my energy. A few months ago, I was going in. I was going in to pick up these 3 guys who were gagging on one boy. Yeah. Okay, Deborah. I can hear myself, my mother going, crikey. So it's
but that's actually the same. It can, because that's the same as my story. Because perhaps had my car been hit, I may have, and I know I probably would have. But it's like I wasn't. We witnessed it. So therefore, there was no physical damage or anything to me or the people that were in the car with me, right? So
and it is. So you can
case by
you
case.
can move at any time. Yeah, totally. But I think that's that thing is, I'm known for getting in, because I am known for getting involved in things. Like even my mum, I don't actually think believed me. So did you, Deborah? Really? Really? Like, yep. Go onto Twitter, because they had the photos of it, and I was sitting in the car with my lights on, actually, but so it's not permanent. So being mindful is pivoting again.
But don't you love how many of our points are interweaving so beautifully? Because it's not permanent, it's holding energy, it's being very present to what's happening here and now, not what happened last month, or when a similar situation happened, this is how it went. And because that's not being mindful, that's actually allowing yourself to get distracted and pulled out of
that's being I was gonna say I guess being mindful is would you say being mindful? I would say being mindful is in your heart. When you make those decisions.
Most definitely. But it's based on right here, right now, because I could still be in my heart and still be referencing or accessing the vibe of something that wasn't in the present moment.
Yeah. Right? So it's a heart decision.
It's a heart decision.
A heart movement.
Yeah, right here, right
over
now.
Over a head one. Yes, present.
Yes, very present. Right? Very present to how does this, and that's that question. I love that question. How does this make me feel here? Not how does it make me feel when I think about being here, or how does it make me feel when I remember being here? It's like, no, how does it make me feel right here, right in this very second? And right. And so then, and in the examples that we're sharing right now, sometimes it's a time to roll your sleeves up and get involved and get weighed into the situation. And other times it's time to just sit back and witness or hold space.
Be an observer.
Absolutely. All components of mindfulness.
Yeah, so your decision, and constantly your decisions are made in your heart. If you can make the decisions in your heart, you're going to have a more fulfilling life. But don't worry if they jump into your head, because they'll jump in there and then go, okay, go back to the heart. What's right for me now? And I love that. How does this make me feel about me right here, right now? Yeah.
So is that you can, because the thing is it's allowing yourself that fluidity, that communication, that the thing is that life is flowing through us, not to us. But that's why it's so important to not listen to your head chatter. That's a lot about this too, is not listen to the inner committee, the chatter, because I think we always have a bit of a narrator in our heads, right? Saying, well, that sucks, that was stupid, that was last time you did this.
Which is even funny, because I literally just wrote down for my tip was watch the judgment.
Which see, we're on the same vibe there. Yeah,
And it is the
absolutely.
judgment. It is and so then there's the two things that come out of that judgment is shame and guilt.
Yes.
Just be aware of it, because you go, oh, that was a stupid decision. And I've talked about it endlessly. I wouldn't bring my daughter up now at my age of 50. I wouldn't bring my daughter up now.
Mhm.
God, I'd hate to bring a child up at 50 now. Actually, when I think about it, hang on, let me just go back there for a minute. Let's just pull that one in.
How
But
does
I
this make
wouldn't
me
bring my
feel
daughter
about me here? Not.
11 and an 11 out of the 0 to 10 and 11 straight away. But I wouldn't bring her up now as I would back then.
Of course not.
And there's nothing wrong with how I brought my daughter up back
No.
then, because she's still alive. Just she's fine. Like, she's still functioning.
Fine.
I laugh at that. She's functioning. She's functioning. She's still. She's like,
She's
Mum, I'm more than functioning.
highly
Thanks very much.
functioning. Highly
Yeah.
functioning.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. But I wouldn't bring her up like I did now, because I have different tools, different mindset tools. I have different money. I have different living situations, all those things. So just what's your judgment? And I'm actually saying, what's your judgment of yourself? I'm not saying what's your judgment of others. I'm actually saying, what's your judgment of yourself?
Yeah,
Because
very
that to
important.
me is more powerful than judging others. Look, if you're going to judge others, then it's all a reflection back at you. So definitely. But the main one is, what's your judgment of yourself? Don't have shame about what you did. Don't have guilt about what you did. It's done. How can you move forward from here? How can we move forward from here?
Yep.
What's the best option? How can we move? What's the tools we need right here, right now, to move forward from here?
Yep, absolutely. Because, and that this is going to bring in the 4 agreements, which we often bring into our conversations. But I just thinking of when we live by that 4th agreement, which is always do your best, there is no room for judgment.
Yeah.
Right? There is
Should I
no
forget
room.
about that
It's
one?
because, and to your point, you would parent in a completely different way now compared to what you did when you were in your 20s. But that's because you always did your best. I have this conversation with people that and this is the unfortunate part about it, is that sometimes shame and guilt get so ingrained that when I say that to somebody, you always have been doing your best. We all have. But then I hear the conversations in my head, like, no, I haven't. I could have made a better choice. That is not being present, because that is judging yourself based upon what you know now, but you didn't then. So it's such an important piece. And actually, you know what? I just realized that that's another tip of itself, is to forgive yourself.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
Because truth is, I think that a lot of people can carry a bit of shame and guilt. Oh, I could have done something better, different, more conscious. Yeah, that's something else. I hear people say, oh, that's so unconscious. Like, so what? That's what they did then. Like, okay.
Headbutt. Oh, whoops, that's not being mindful.
But if
think
it is time to do forgiveness, there's so many tools about that. There's a quote that I just came across. Can't remember exactly, but it was, I'm going to reference it on the description.
That's the first time
one.
ever. That is the first time ever Moira
I
goes,
haven't
there's
done
something, but I can't, because she can quote it. She can tell you what book it came from. She can tell you where it's sitting on a shelf, the cover and the page number. And for once, I'm celebrating that she
celebrating
can't.
that I can't do it entirely. But I am going to give you a synopsis of what it meant, is that basically forgiveness is freedom. It's freeing, giving somebody freedom. And as you go through it, you realize it's you.
Yeah.
Don't you love that?
I do. And
it's freedom, but it's, you then realize it's freedom for you.
Freedom for you. I love, I'm a Dr. John DeMartini for, I listen to his, I've been doing his business for 17 years. And he referenced, and I heard it recently, and he referenced forgiveness as he says, thank you for giving me this experience.
You've shared that before, and I love that. It's beautiful.
And I'm like, which is all around gratitude.
Yeah.
So be grateful they've done what they've done. Be grateful you've done what you've done. Be grateful what they didn't do, what they said they would do. Be grateful that you haven't done what you said you'd do. And I love that forgiveness is gratitude. Be grateful, because that fills your whole heart up, and it all comes back to you. It just and this is where we talk about living in our heart over our head.
That's beautiful. And that'll be our last tip, is gratitude.
I just had my whole erecties all over my whole body and went,
I love it.
and that's
Goosebumps
it.
everywhere.
And
that's it. We
yeah,
just brought
that's
this
the
one
one.
home.
That's the one. And just for the record, it moved my whole number. It moved my whole
Yay.
number.
Yay.
I just have to say that that was actually the finale that went whoosh,
Bang.
giggle, giggle. Yeah.
Cute.
So let's just recap everything we've done. So
Mhm.
grab your pen and paper, peeps, and your note-taking device or whatever you've got, because we're going to do this in a lot shorter form now.
Yes. We'll rattle
Of-
through these tips.
To be mindful and its meaning. Did we say what their meanings are? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, hang on, did we cover what a meaning is? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Consciously making the
Just a minute.
decision to stay present and accept
That's the one.
whatever is present, showing up without feeling like you have to change it or run away from it. Right?
Perfect. And guess what number 1 tip was? Show up
Show
to your
up.
capacity.
Yes.
So number 1 tip is show up. And it's not just show up. The main part of that is not in brackets. It's equally as important to your capacity.
Yes. Being present to what is that capacity right then. Completely.
Yeah.
The next one is to being transparent, like telling the self the truth with what's showing up, but with that mindset of I've got this. So whatever it is, you show, this, I'm discombobulated, but I'm working through it. I've got this, right? So being transparent, but with that responsible kind of mindset. It's all good.
Yeah.
In my
Even
world.
if you think you haven't got it, by saying I've got this, hand on heart, I've got this.
Yeah.
You're telling your soul I've got this, even if the soul's going, you're a liar, which it's not going to say to you.
Not going to
do that. It's going to hear I've got this, and the hand on heart movement. Yeah.
Definitely.
The next one I've got is expectations. And that's expectations of yourself, expectations of others, wherever they're sitting in there, the expectations.
Yep.
That's all.
Definitely.
Be aware of them.
Be aware of them. The next one I have is my tip about internal check-in. And you want to look for win-win, but everything that you do must start with you checking in first. How does this make me feel about me? Because we want to be making it feel right, correct, balanced, harmonious. Going for that, for your side of the win-win scenario, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm just going to add into that part, because I actually had how does it make me feel about me as a separate one, but then I also went PEMS in my little notes, and the PEMS is be aware that if you're going, at the start, we had, if you're a 10, you're discombobulated, as Moira calls it, and if you're a 0, you're sitting in your Zen moment. But just that internal check-in, that's a great one. That should,
definitely.
Just look at that. How does this make me feel about me? Whoa, this is actually an 8. I thought it was a 4.
Right.
Oh, shoot. If this is an 8, then get real. We go back to the truth and everything.
Yep.
I've got this, but whoa, if this is an 8, then I'm going to have to assess this. I'm going to have to put different strategies in place.
Definitely.
Or trust, whatever. But keep, put that, how does it make me feel about me as a separate one?
Yeah, definitely. I think too. Yes.
Okay, am I doing the next one?
Next?
Okay, great.
You go for it.
I'll go for it. Hold energy. And this is where I talked about my car crash, my rear entry. I'm so childish. I'm good with that.
You're funny.
Hold energy. Don't be the savior. And one of my favorite things is not my monkey, not my circus. Not my monkey, not my circus.
Definitely.
But you can hold energy from a distance. And you don't have to save everyone, because if you jump in and save everyone, you sometimes you take away their dignity. Sometimes you take away their responsibility.
Yes, which actually goes beautifully into the next one we had, was to remember it's not permanent, and that's where I said about assessing it is about a case by case, because we shared times where it is right for you to just stay in your car and not get engaged with other things around you. Whereas there's other times where you do go and jump in and get involved. My example was I did jump out of the car and go and help somebody. You were going to go in and get involved with somebody, and that airport story that you told us.
I know.
So it's like it's what's the right thing for you then? How does it make me feel about me when I jump in and as opposed to when I don't? And it's about not getting into your head. Super not important to not get into your head. Allow your heart, your wisdom to inform you. Right?
I just giggled because I realized at Christmas time I got involved in a car crash as well. Whereas
Yes,
someone's side,
That's right.
someone's side, and I went to the lady in the car behind, and I said, "Oh, did you see that?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Can you be a witness, please, to that?" And she went, "No." Remember I knocked on the window because I stood by the window and she didn't wind her window down. And I was
Yes.
like, can't you see me? I'm clearly standing there. I'm standing here. You can't get past me. My car's blocked you. And I could not understand. And so when she wound her window down, that's right. And I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Can you be my witness, please?" And she went, "No." And then she talked to her granddaughter and said, "Wind the window up." And I was left standing there in the rain going, did this really just happen to me? Like, you did this. And so she literally did not get involved.
Right.
She did not get involved. But what was even funnier after that, and I was peeved, boy, was I peeved. I went to a 10 beyond anything. What was even funnier is we went to a couple of shops after that, and she was literally in those shops, and she saw me and she turned her trolley and literally ran. And my daughter's with me. She was like, "Mum, is that lady?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, that's funny." And she literally turned her trolley and ran away from me, scared I was going to confront her.
Too
So
funny.
she did what I did. She just stayed in the car and protected her energy, but she was fearful of me. She was fearful. I forgot that.
That's
I forgot
funny.
that.
That's funny.
I was really perplexed with how I was like, "But you just saw it. You don't even have to get involved. You just have to give me your details for the insurance." And just like, no. Wind the window up, dear. And the window came up. I was like, okay, that's the end of that conversation.
Definitely.
I wanted to go around to her side and knock on her window. But
being mindful just says, okay, that's one way of dealing with that.
Yeah, and I didn't need it. I didn't need her witness statement. We had cameras, and the poor old man. Felt sorry for him because he had his wife chewing in his ear. She wasn't holding energy. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
So, and actually, this one here is about the heart. Make your decisions in your heart over your head. And I had to giggle because I just said I wanted to go around and knock on her window because she had a granddaughter in the car who was about, 17, 18. And I wanted to go around and knock on the grandmother's window. And that's definitely not making decisions in there.
Nope. But
that's not heart decisions.
That's not heart decisions. But the next tip after this is to watch the judgment.
Of course.
That was the perfect segue.
Do you know what? I have not had a car crash in so long. I've literally had. It's so long.
Just getting caught up. But no, isn't that's like, it's interesting that you brought that story into this one, because it's watch the judgment. It's like, okay, you could have reacted in a different way, but you chose to kind of.
My mind did.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes we have to let our mind do that. Tell the self.
And do you know what stopped me? It's all on camera. I was like, oh, there's too many cameras around. No. It's literally, how childish is that? What? Now, I'm not one to go beat up a grandma. I just have to say that to people, okay? I just wanted her details. I did take her car registration to say this person was a witness, but just declined. So I did have my little ego moment.
Your little
car registration.
I'll show you.
Yeah, that's it. But you're right, it is. Always do your best. And at that time, I was jumping into ego, not humble. Definitely. But I love that watch judgment. Who brought that tip up? Me.
That was
of course.
Yep. Which then my next one after that one was forgiveness.
Was a lovely one.
Yes, yes, forgiveness. And I wanted to take that one because I know you would like to take the last tip we had.
Oh, thank you for giving me this experience and having gratitude for the situation. Yeah.
Yes.
What a beautiful, this is not how I thought it would have gone. Surprise.
Surprise. Not really.
Actually, when we said the topic, what was the first word I said? When Moira said, oh, we're talking about being mindful and its meaning, and I said, I don't know, there was something I said at the very start, and you just looked like you just literally rolled your eyes like, oh my God, what is Deborah going to say now? It was something
Can't
I
remember
remember going,
actually. See, I
no,
got so zenned out with that conversation I can't remember.
yeah.
I do remember the incident, but yeah, didn't
Yeah, I
hold on
remember,
to it,
and
obviously.
Moira was like, oh no, where are we going with this? I loved this. This is a
It has
really
been
great one.
beautiful. Mhm.
And I know at the start we mentioned our numbers, and I was a 4
Yes, you
because
were.
I had a red neck and I burnt my whole tongue and everything, and I've still got a tingle on my tongue. And Moira, you were a 2, and listeners, you did your check-in at the start, and then you did your check-in halfway. So let us know how you jump with your numbers. Moira, where are you sitting on this? Guess what? Guess where she is.
You know, I'm a 0. Of
Yeah.
course I'm a 0.
And I'm a 0 too. Now, I will say my tongue is still tingling, and
Mhm.
I've still got goosebumps on the top of my roof, or I think they're burn marks on the top of my roof of my mouth. But it has a lovely feel to it.
Good.
The tongue still tingling has a lovely, it's not like, oh my God, how am I going to eat today and all the rest of it. I'm conscious, I'm present of it,
Mhm.
and it's there, and it's not affecting me. So that's
Beautiful.
why I'm going to say I'm a 0.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so
And it was,
beautifully mindful.
and it was the forgiveness and gratitude that,
Yeah,
tipped
that
me over.
calmed
Yeah.
it all down. So isn't
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
love that. I love embodying that and just witnessing that because it is powerful truths.
Mm.
that
Well, I
we
would have
need-
been a 2
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
And then that last thing
And
just
the
went.
last-
And I think that's how quick it can change.
Definitely. I agree with you.
Yeah. So thank you, listeners. I really appreciate you coming and listening to us today as we talk about how to be mindful and its meaning.
Mhm.
We would love to know what's your favorite. I'd love, or if you've even got any more that
Yeah.
you'd like to share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear that for sure.
Yeah. So if you really love this today, if you really love this, and I'm not talking about half pie because we know you didn't half pie it. We know that you really loved it. You know that. The next step is bring people into our Facebook group. Share it. Share this podcast with somebody. Jump into our Facebook group. Let us know. Let's get the conversation going, because being mindful and its meaning isn't a challenge, and it's truly, if you can have this as a way of being in your life, you're going to have a more fulfilled, inspiring life.
Yep.
So
and make
so
a
thank
powerful
you.
change for everybody around you.
Yeah, make that
Beautiful.
decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love
So
it.
thank you, listeners, for today. Thank you for the internet, and thank you, Moira, for our conversation.
Thank you, dear
That's
Deb.
that's us signing off with my goosebump mouth and my red neck as we talk about being mindful and its meaning.
Sounds
Thank you.
awesome conversation. Thank you, dear Deb. Thanks, listeners. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.